What if everything you knew, everything you felt was not real? What if the world we experience is just a highly advanced computer simulation? This is the mind-bending proposition of simulation theory. It suggests that our reality, from the vast cosmos to the smallest atom, could be an elaborate digital construct. Hold on to your hats, because things are about to get weird. The idea that we're living in a simulation might seem like science fiction, but hear me out. The more we learn about the universe and our place in it, the more this theory starts to feel, well, less crazy. It's a topic that has captivated philosophers, scientists, and even tech moguls. The implications of this idea are huge. If our reality is artificial, then who are our simulators? What's their purpose in creating us? And what does it even mean to be real in a simulated world? Fasten your seatbelts. We're diving into the rabbit hole of simulation theory. Let's start with philosopher Nick Bostrom. He's a big name in the world of simulation theory. Back in 2003, he gave us a thought experiment called Bostrom's trilemma. It presents three possibilities, one of which must be true. Option 1. Civilizations wipe themselves out before they can create realistic simulations. Think nuclear war or some other self-inflicted apocalypse. Option 2. Civilizations reach the technological level to create simulations but choose not to. Maybe they find it unethical, or maybe they just have better things to do. Option 3, we are almost certainly living in a simulation. This is where it gets interesting. Bostrom argues that if civilizations can develop the technology to create these simulations and they choose to do so, then the number of simulated realities would vastly outnumber the one real reality. Now, Bostrom isn't saying he knows for sure which option is right, but he leans towards the third one. Why? Because the sheer potential number of simulations makes it statistically improbable that we're in the original organic reality. Imagine a universe teeming with advanced civilizations, each creating countless simulations. The odds of us being in the original seem pretty slim, right? It's a mind-boggling thought experiment, and it lays the groundwork for a lot of the discussions about simulation theory. Here's another layer to this cosmic onion: ancestral simulations. Imagine a civilization so advanced they can create perfect simulations of their own past. They could recreate their history right down to the smallest detail. They could even populate these simulations with conscious, simulated beings who believe they're living in the past. Think about it. If we could simulate our own history, wouldn't we? It would be a chance to revisit key moments, learn from our mistakes, and maybe even connect with our ancestors. But here's the kicker. What if some of those simulations become so advanced that they start creating their own simulations? We could have layers upon layers of simulated realities, each one branching off from the last. This idea of ancestral simulations adds a whole new dimension to the simulation hypothesis. It's not just about some alien species simulating us for kicks. It's about the possibility of our own descendants trying to understand their past, or even just playing God with their own digital universe. Now, where do some of the big brains in science stand on all of this? Well, opinions vary. Take Elon Musk, the tech entrepreneur who dreams of colonizing Mars. He's a big believer in the simulation hypothesis. In fact, he once said that the odds of us not living in a simulation are 1 in billions. Yeah, he's pretty convinced. On the other hand, we've got Neil deGrasse Tyson, your friendly neighborhood astrophysicist. He's a bit more cautious. He puts the odds closer to 50-50. Tyson argues that while the simulation argument is intriguing, it's not something we can definitively prove or disprove with our current understanding of the universe. So even among the brightest minds, there's no consensus. The beauty of science is that it embraces uncertainty. It's about asking tough questions, exploring different possibilities, and being open to having your mind blown. The Genesis riddle, Big Bang or Big Program? Let's talk about the beginning of everything. The Big Bang theory is the prevailing cosmological model for the universe. It suggests that about 13.8 billion years ago, the universe began from a state of extreme density and temperature and has been expanding and cooling ever since. But what if the Big Bang wasn't a cosmic explosion in the traditional sense? What if it was the moment our simulation booted up? Think about it. The laws of physics, the fundamental constants that govern our universe, they could be the programming language of the simulation. Imagine a programmer setting the initial conditions, inputting the code, and then hitting the run button. That initial moment, the Big Bang, would be the starting point of the simulation. Everything that follows, the formation of stars, galaxies, planets, even life itself, would be a consequence of those initial conditions and the rules governing the simulation. Glitches in the matrix, Mandela, déjà vu, and the fabric of reality. One of the most intriguing aspects of simulation theory is the possibility of finding glitches in the matrix. These are moments where the simulation breaks down, revealing the artificial nature of our reality. Now, I'm not talking about seeing Agent Smith around every corner. I'm talking about subtle inconsistencies that make you question your perception of reality. Take the Mandela effect, for example. This is a phenomenon where large groups of people share a false memory of a past event. Remember the Berenstain Bears? Many people swear it was spelled Berenstein when they were kids. Or how about Nelson Mandela? Some people vividly recall him dying in prison in the 1980s, even though he lived until 2013. Then there's déjà vu, that eerie feeling that you've experienced something before, even though you know you haven't. Simulation theory suggests that déjà vu could be a glitch in the matrix, a momentary error in the simulation where the present overlaps with a previous iteration. These are just a couple of examples, and while they're not definitive proof of a simulation, they certainly make you wonder, don't they? The Fermi Paradox, silent stars or simulated walls. Here's another cosmic head-scratcher. The Fermi Paradox, named after physicist Enrico Fermi, it highlights the apparent contradiction between the high probability of extraterrestrial life and the lack of contact with such civilizations. The universe is vast, billions of years old, and teeming with stars and planets. Statistically speaking, there should be other intelligent life forms out there. So where is everyone? Simulation theory offers a possible explanation. What if we haven't encountered any alien civilizations because they're not out there? Or at least not in the way we imagine? What if each simulation is like a self-contained universe, prevented from interacting with others? Imagine our simulation as a giant cosmic video game. We're free to explore our little corner of the digital world, but there are hard limits programmed into the game. We can't go beyond a certain point, and we can't interact with players in other games. That would explain why the universe seems so empty, even though it's potentially teeming with simulated life. Tegmark's multiverse, where simulations fit in. Now let's bring in another big thinker, Max Tegmark. He's a cosmologist at MIT, and he takes a different approach to the simulation idea. Tegmark proposes the mathematical universe hypothesis. In a nutshell, he argues that our physical reality is a mathematical structure. Think of it like this. Math isn't just a tool we use to describe the universe, it is the universe. And if that's the case, then every consistent mathematical structure, every possible universe could exist. This leads to the concept of a multiverse, a vast collection of universes existing alongside our own. Now here's where simulations come in. According to Tegmark, some of these universes within the multiverse could be simulated, just like in Bostrom's trilemma. So while we might be living in a simulated universe, it's not necessarily the only one. It's a mind-bending idea, but it fits with the idea that the universe is far stranger and more complex than we can possibly imagine. The fabric of reality, physics, code, and the simulated universe. Here's where things get really interesting. What if we could find clues to our simulated nature by looking at the very fabric of reality? Some physicists have drawn parallels between certain aspects of physics and the way computer simulations work. Take quantum mechanics, for example. It's a branch of physics that describes the bizarre behavior of matter and energy at the atomic and subatomic levels. One of the strangest things about quantum mechanics is the idea of superposition. This means that a particle can exist in multiple states at once until it's observed, at which point it collapses into a single state. Some physicists have suggested that this could be evidence of a simulated universe, where the simulation only renders what's being observed to save on processing power. Then there's quantum entanglement, where two particles become linked even when separated by vast distances. Any change to one particle instantly affects the other, no matter how far apart they are. This spooky action at a distance, as Einstein called it, could be another hint of a simulated reality, where the universe is essentially a giant quantum computer. And let's not forget about the accelerating expansion of the universe. Scientists have attributed this to dark energy, a mysterious force that makes up about 70% of the universe's energy density. But what if this accelerating expansion is just the simulation running out of memory? As the simulation grows, it needs more resources, and this could manifest as an outward push. These are just a few examples of how physics might be hinting at a simulated reality. It's a mind-blowing concept, but it's one that some of the brightest minds in physics are taking seriously.